The United States claims to have over 8,000 tons of gold. At today's price, that stash would be worth nearly $500 million. But here's the terrifying truth. No outsider has actually seen that gold in over 70 years. And if it isn't there, the consequences would be literally catastrophic. The dollar would collapse probably overnight, savings would evaporate, and the global financial system would spiral into chaos. This isn't just a theory, it's a collapse no one is talking about. So the question is simple: does America still have the gold it's claimed it's always had? Now, to understand this mystery, first you need to understand how America got this much gold in the first place. Well, back in 1933, during the Great Depression, with Roosevelt as president, he made private gold ownership illegal. He forced Americans to hand over their gold coins and bullion to the government in exchange for paper dollars. It was one of the most controversial acts in US history, but it's created a river of gold flowing into Washington. Fort Knox was built to house it, and trainloads of gold was rolled into massive vaults. When World War II began, even foreign nations shipped their gold here for safekeeping. In 1941, the US controlled nearly a quarter of the world's official gold supply. It was an empire of wealth, unlike anything ever seen before. And in 1944, the Bretton Woods Agreement pegged the world's currencies to the US dollar, because America had the gold to back it up. But power like that does not last forever. By 1960s, America's trade deficits exploded, and the spending on foreign wars drained its vaults. Countries holding the US dollars started asking for their gold back, and gold shipments began, leaving Fort Knox at an alarming pace. Finally, in 1971, President Richard Nixon stunned the world. He closed the gold window, ending the dollar's convertibility into gold. In one night, the US dollar transformed from a gold-backed currency, fiat currency, to a money backed by nothing but trust, thinking that the gold's there. It was one of the greatest rug pulls in financial history. Today, the official story is that America has 8,133 tons of gold. But here's where things get a little strange. The Federal Reserve doesn't actually own the gold, it holds it in gold certificates issued by the Treasury. On books, that gold is valued at $42.22 per ounce, the same price that was set in 1970. That means on paper, the entire US gold stockpile is worth $11 billion. But at current market price, that would be hundreds of billions of dollars more. So why not revalue it? Why not use it to strengthen Americans' balance sheet and pay down its debt? The truth is, we don't know if it's even there. Now here's where all the conspiracies come in. The last public audit for US gold was in 1953, over 70 years ago. And in 1974, the government invited 100 members of Congress and the media into Fort Knox. But it wasn't an audit, it was a photo op. One vault was open, bars were shown, nothing was tested, weighed, or verified. From 1975 to 1981, partial audits were covered about 80% of the gold by weight and just 21% by serial number. After that, audits completely stopped. And in the silence, of course, the conspiracy started to grow. Some claim Fort Knox is an empty shell guarded for show. Others believe the gold was secretly swapped, leased, and or even replaced with other bars. Now, Congressman Ron Paul once publicly questioned whether the bars were even authentic, and without transparency, the public has no reason to trust the government's word. Then came in the flights. In recent years, banks like JP Morgan and HSBC shipped thousands of gold bars from London all the way to New York. To ordinary people, it looked like America was scrambling to cover up missing gold, but the official explanations is something called arbitrage. Gold prices in New York were about 20 per ounce, which was higher than London. So banks moved gold across the Atlantic to settle futures contracts and pocket the difference. It's perfectly logical to the banking strategy, but when you haven't seen gold in 70 years, even a normal shipment looks like a cover-up. Even Elon Musk has joked, just live stream Fort Knox already.
It should be like a live tour, like you can see what's going on, open the door, like what's behind it. Well, and this, I think I'd watch that.
And here's why it matters. If America's gold is really gone, the consequences would be immediate. And quite literally, they would be devastating. The dollar's credibility would collapse even though it's barely even sustaining itself. Foreign countries would dump US currency and demand gold-backed alternatives. Inflation would surge, interest rates would skyrocket, and the global economy would plunge into complete chaos. It would make '08 look like a warm-up. And history has showed us in the past how this has played out before. When Rome's silver reserves vanished, the currency collapsed, and inflation helped destroy the entire empire. When Germany in the 1920s printed money without gold backing it, people needed wheelbarrows full of marks just to buy bread. If America's gold is missing, the same fate could await us here that hold dollars. The terrifying part is we don't know the truth. Officials insist the gold is safe, but no independent public audit has been done in generations. The gold is either there or it isn't, and if it isn't, it may already be too late. Question is left, when will the world actually find out? And with all this interest on gold's price continuously pushing to new highs, this thesis becomes more relevant than ever. A lot of investors are looking for alternative plays, and in fact, if you're familiar with this channel, I myself in my very own portfolio have been leveraging quantitative trading softwares to help me find alternative edges inside the market just in case there's some catastrophic release of news just like this. If you're curious, check out any of these videos, and if you want to know more than that, there's a link in the description where you could talk to the team and find out how you can get an alternative edge. Thanks for watching.